All right, this is BoxingWave. Let's talk about some of these. We have a lot of cards coming up this weekend. It's Tuesday, December 9th. And we got a lot of cards coming up. We got the ESPN card coming up this Thursday night. All right. We got ESPN card, and I'm going to speak on that card in this video. Then Friday night, we have the Lara against Ishe Smith card on Showtime, okay? And then on Saturday night, you got Showtime Extreme card, okay? That starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. You got that card, and then you have the main event cards on regular Showtime, okay? Right after that, I think that starts at 9 and 10 o'clock at night, with Amir and Devon is the main event on that card. And then on HBO, you have Tim Bradley fighting Diego Chaves. And you also got Matt Caraballo fighting Andy Lee on that card too. So this week is loaded with boxing on television, okay? So let's talk about this ESPN card real quick, okay? I was looking at someone sent me an email talking about this card, wanted to know what I felt about it. You got Austin Trout against Grajeda as the main event on this card. Now, I don't know exactly which fights are going to be televised here, but there's some pretty good fights on here. Pretty good fights on this card on ESPN, all right? I don't know how many of them they're going to show, okay? There's like 10 fights. There's like 12 fights here, but I don't know, how many of those are going to be televised on ESPN. I'm sure like 4 of them probably will be. But you got Austin Trout fighting Grajeda. Austin Trout was coming off of the loss against Erislandy Lara last year. Okay, he had lost. He beat Miguel Cotto. Okay, and that's where he pretty much got his name, by being Miguel Cotto. And then he went on to fight Canelo Alvarez, which he lost pretty close decision. Okay, he did get dropped by Canelo in that fight. Then he went on to fight Erislandy Lara, where he pretty much got shut out in that fight, and he got dropped in that fight, late in that fight. Okay, he got dominated in that fight. And then he went on to fight Dawson in his last fight, and I think that fight was on ESPN as well, maybe a few months back. Pretty good fight, but Dawson dropped Trout maybe 2 or 3 times in one round, I think, in that fight. Now, Trout has been down his last 3 fights, okay? Ever since he beat Miguel Cotto, he stopped the Cotto and Canelo Alvarez fight from happening back then. He's been dropped every fight, okay? Austin Trout, guy that's a slick southpaw, good defensive minded fighter. He has high volume, those are high volume punches, but doesn't have a lot of power, behind his punches, okay? But he's a good fighter, he is a good fighter. He's still probably maybe a top 10 fighter at 154. And he has his fight against Grajeda. Now, this guy, Grajeda, I looked him up, and I was only able to find a fight between him and Willie Nelson. It's hard to really, I couldn't really tell. I mean, Grajeda seems to have good boxing skills. He definitely was moving in there, using his lateral movement, was able to slip punches from Willie Nelson. But it's hard to tell his skill set, because Willie Nelson is a guy, 6'3", fighting at 154. Physically strong, okay, does have good punching power. But he doesn't really use his height in there in the ring. He likes to engage. He likes to stay close. And he doesn't have a great chin. All right, if you've seen Willie Nelson fight against Vanes Monterosian, his last fight, which he lost, that was like a war. And Willie Nelson's a guy that could use his height and his reach as his advantage, but he just doesn't. He likes to engage. And it's just, Grajeda had his moments in there, and I seen him hurt Willie Nelson. Well, I really don't know. I could say is this: he definitely has skills. Okay, it might be a step up from the Dawson fight. Okay, it might be a step up for him, for Austin Trout. I mean, Grajeda has power. Okay, and we seen that Trout has been down his last 3 fights. So Trout is definitely the more skilled boxer from what I've seen between the two, but he's been down his last 3 fights. And the fight, you know, when he was down against Dawson, he was hurt pretty bad in that. And, you know, Trout should win this fight. You know, if he wants to still be considered guy that was champion, if he wants to still be considered the top fighter at 140 or 154, he should be able to win this fight, all right? But there could be a moment where he gets hurt in there, because Grajeda is a pretty good boxer, and he has punching power in there. All right, he has a high KO percentage, and he seems to be a pretty good boxer, right? All right, so let's talk about the other fights that's in here. You got Antonio Tarver fighting Johnathon Banks. Hard fight to really call here, you know, because Tarver is like 46 years old now. You know, southpaw, good defensive. At this point, you know, he's a good defensive fighter. But he's old, and he's fighting like 1 fight a year. Okay, you know, the fight against, he fought Mike Shepard last year, and he was able to stop him in 4 rounds. But Mike Shepard is like a journeyman, and it was an easy fight for him, you know. Then the fight was against Coyote the year before that, but that's when that fight was a draw. But he tested positive for something illegal. I don't know which, if it was steroids or I can't remember, but he tested positive for a illegal substance for that fight. So that got ruled a no contest afterwards. And then, you know, he's been fighting for 1 fight a year for the past 5-6 years now at this point. I don't know, a guy like Johnathon Banks is not the most active fighter neither, okay? He hasn't been fighting a lot. He hasn't fought since his loss against Seth Mitchell, okay? He won the first fight, but he lost the second fight. And he's been, you know, he's one of Klitschko's trainers. You know, still young though. He's still like only 32. I think he's 32 years old, okay? He's very experienced though. He's been fighting a long time. He was being trained by Emmanuel Stewart. He's a really good, experienced fighter. Even at the age of 32, a lot of experience there. I would think that Johnathon Banks should win this fight, you know, because of the youth. And he has a slight size advantage. I think he's slightly taller, slightly have a slight longer reach than Tarver. But you can't count Tarver out. Tarver does have some punching power. You know, he is a good defensive-minded fighter. And it should be a close fight. But if I'm going to pick someone, I think Johnathon Banks should be able to win this fight, you know. I don't know what type of shape Tarver is going to be in. He hasn't looked to be in great shape since he's been in heavyweight to me. So I'm interested to see how this fight is going to go. But I got Johnathon Banks winning this fight by decision, okay? And who else do we got here? You got Marcus Brown, a guy, he's fighting Henry Buchanan. I don't know who. I never seen Buchanan fight before. But Marcus Brown is a light heavyweight you guys should start looking out for. I've seen him fight a couple times at the Barclays already. He's a fighter from New York, Staten Island, New York. Good fighter on the light heavyweight division. That's on the come up. Got good solid speed, good boxing ability, slick southpaw. It does pack some power too in his punches. So I don't know if they're gonna televise that fight or not, but he is a fighter that's on the come up. You also got Sergio Mora against Deshaun Johnson. Edwin Rodriguez against Derrick Findlay. This should be a pretty good fight. Derrick Findlay is one of those guys that's stocky guy, big guy. He's fought a lot of guys out there. Andre Durrell, Curtis Stevens. He's been in the ring with a lot of fighters. He's like Darnell Boone, okay? He's also like a fighter like Darnell Bill. He has a lot of losses, but he doesn't really get knocked out, okay? He brings a tough fight. Doesn't have good boxing skills. He does not have good boxing skills. But he's a big guy that is hard to slow down. He's going to keep coming at you. And, you know, he's fought Ward. He's fought a lot of guys. A lot of guys fought Derrick Findlay. I think Ward fought Derrick Findlay as well. But he's a guy that he's a tough fighter. And, you know, the thing with Edwin Rodriguez is that he has a lot of power. but he hasn't had great boxer skills. But he's the better boxer between the two of those guys. But I would like to see how Edwin is going to do in the second half of the fight, because Derrick Findlay is not a guy I see him stopping, even with his punching power. And I'm willing. He should be able. Edwin Rodriguez should be able to win the fight. He should definitely be able to win the fight. But this is a guy that he's not going to be able to, probably not going to be able to knock out. And Findlay is going to keep coming. And it should be an entertaining fight. I'm hoping they televise that fight. That should be a good fight. The Rodriguez and Findlay fight. Who else is on here? You got Terrell Grajeda is fighting on this card. Gerald Washington is fighting on the card. Like I said, I don't know which fights are going to be televised. So, Gerald Washington's an athletic heavyweight, undefeated guy. Another guy that used to be playing football. Used to play football. He's undefeated. Got a lot of power. Big fighter. He's like 6'6". Very strong, very powerful. Just don't know yet. It's been a lot of these athletic fighters in the heavyweight division coming up. We seen what happened with Seth Mitchell. He seems to be good. Gerald Washington seems to be legit. But I just don't know yet. He's fighting Mike Shepard. Guy I mentioned earlier. He's fighting the guy that got stopped by Antonio Tarver recently. So Gerald Washington should be able to stop him. But hopefully they televise this fight. But this is a good card. There's a lot of names on here. Sergio Mora, like I told you, he's on this card. You got Oscar Escandon, Tyson Cave. I haven't seen these guys fight yet, but it's a pretty decent card. I just wanted to put the news out there. But Austin Trout needs to look impressive. He hasn't looked. He's been getting knocked down a lot lately, and he didn't look impressive against Lara. He got dominated by him. He looked pretty good against Canelo though, but he didn't look good against Dawson. Dawson gave him some problems in there, and he got dropped more than once in that fight. So let's see if he could go in there and beat this guy and not get knocked down, because he's been knocked down 3 times in a row. A lot of people make the argument whether or not Austin Trout is overrated, because I think me personally, and a lot of people feel he beat Miguel Cotto when Cotto was at his worst. Cotto didn't look terrible that fight. I don't know if he thought this was going to be a fight that, just a tune-up fight for him. But Cotto lost the fight, and that stopped the Canelo fight from happening the first time. And a lot of people are thinking that Austin Trout was a little bit overrated because of the way he beat Cotto. I think if they rematch today, I don't think Cotto would lose that fight. But that's the argument people make with Austin Trout. A lot of people think he's overrated because before the Cotto fight, I really wasn't that impressed. I saw the fight with Rodriguez before the Cotto fight. The same guy Cotto ended up beating, and Trout didn't really look that impressive to me. But he still is a good fighter. It's just that I think he's not really strong, physically strong fighter to me. He looks that way, but he's not physically strong to me. He's not a big puncher neither. So it's gonna be hard. There's a lot of guys at 154. The top guys. It's gonna be hard for him to become champion again, in my opinion. Because I see like everybody else. I see the Charlos being better than him. I see Andre being better than him. Canelo already beat him. Lara already beat him. But this is a fight that he needs to look impressive. All right. And be on the lookout for the Tarver Banks fight. That should be good. The Rodriguez Findlay fight. That should be good. So tune in on ESPN Thursday night. From Thursday on, you got great boxing to watch all week, all the way leading up into the weekend. All right. So be on the lookout. I got more videos to do. Be on the lookout for those. All right. Peace.